Good morning and welcome to Sunday morning. Sunday? Fan service, whatever. It's something fan service. I'm trying to remember what I called this. Sunday fan service. Technically, it's morning here. Probably morning there, unless you're joining us from Europe, as my mother would say. Do we want to move this show to the afternoon? Do we not like this show? I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this. This is not our usual show, though. Today we're going to play Counterpoint, and potentially we'll be playing Borg Battle Royale. We'd had quite a few people. Good morning, Chris.
Hello.
Hello. We'd had a couple of people who had mentioned doing Arena of Sompek, and we can't do Arena of Sompek because it's in the short form. White Wolf, good morning. Satalia. Mom, how did I like SFA? I won't do spoilers. It's not bad. I get why people don't like it. I really do. But let's say you're not an absolute nerd. Let's say you're not into why some of these things can't happen. And you just go into it watching it as a show. It's not great. But it's also not horrible. It's got a decent premise, doesn't require you to know Trek, has some horrible moments, actually the acting's pretty decent. It's got some really good acting, it's got some okay acting. I agree with a lot of the comments coming out of there that the physical fitness issue is an issue. But if we're assuming that this is not a military group, then we can kind of live with that. If we're going with it being an equivalent of West Point, where physical fitness and military discipline is a component.
Well, there is a mention, they mentioned it briefly in the first episode, I think it's more emphasized in the second episode, that there's like a not more war academy, but something that Starfleet was more oriented as a military because they were in constant triage/defense because everyone else was pounding in them.
Right, but are they now? Are we in a current war setting?
The militaristic, so I think there might be some changes in the philosophy overall. But
somebody pointed out it's an equivalent to West Point. Oh, the second episode came out the same day as the first episode, ho hell, and we're going to watch it this upcoming Friday with the third episode. But West Point is a military academy that is geared not for enlisted people, but it's geared for officer training. So we have some emphasis on military, huge emphasis on education. If we go that way versus being what it's coming across as with the grunt level stuff, I think it would be better. I still think they should not have that Klingon Jem'Hadar be the brutalistic bully that she is, because that does not teach discipline, that teaches fear. Yes, and I see the black and white TOS species is still impossibly existing. The argument that I have heard, take it for what you will, I think they're Chironians or Chiron, something like that, is they did have space travel. Obviously, we've got the two, Frank Gorshin and what's his name, whose name totally eludes me, have managed to get into space. That leaves the potential of others got into space and were not killed off when the entire planet was destroyed. Possibility. It would mean a very limited gene pool, and especially over the how many years between TOS and SFA? Maybe 900?
1,000 years.
Yeah, 1,000 years. The gene pool probably wouldn't stay that clean if you had a very limited number of people. So maybe they clone themselves? Because when you get anything that's that clearly marked in the genes, this side left, this side white, it would be hard to sustain that genetic unless it's a dominant. Yeah, the episode.
I don't really know much about the species anyway.
The species is let that be your last battlefield.
It's like Iconians, they're considered to be extinct in the time of TNG, but in Stowe they kind of turned out that they came out of hiding, and it is also somewhat hinted in Season 4 Discovery, where they're mentioned as a possible species that could cause the DMA catastrophe, which is another hint that they are no longer considered extinct during the time of Discovery / Starfleet Academy, So the one that could also justify why this species, the black and white species, is still around.
Now, you could have a few survivors who did some gene engineering to make sure that that trait remained. There's a lot of ways you could do it. You just need a couple of people to survive.
Part of the speech that when the Chancellor was referring to the Academy as they were like kind of inaugurating, she mentioned that some of you were the first of your kind, some of you may be the last. So you know, it might be the last member of our species.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right.
As again, nothing is written in stone when it comes to fantasy. We saw Gandalf die and then he was actually dead, so you know.
Yeah, but that's where you get into fantasy. Is that What's the Hell I hear?
Yes.
Hi, What's the Hell? How are you?
Very much so.
So there are animals, including pets and stuff, that can exhibit that asymmetrical featuring. Where you've got a cat that's got that stark line of demarcation between left and right. Let's say one side is one color and the other side is a different color, or it's patterned where the other side isn't. It apparently happens relatively often, but it doesn't necessarily carry on genetically after a generation or two. So there's something going on there. We don't know. Hang on a second. Let me get back to that question because I just hit the wrong button. There we go. Important question is, does gravity kill still exist in the 32nd century? Sadly, yes.
They haven't mentioned anything like it. But,
well, because black holes would still exist. Fortunately, if indeed the burn has destroyed the ability of dilithium to work, which clearly it hasn't because we have travel, we would have no way of getting there. So, while it exists, Italia, we don't have to play it because we have no way to get there. But tish. Let's see, the bifurcated species, the black ones, I still think it's Sharonians, I could be wrong. There was one in Section 31 as well, which to me was just like, well, Section 31 doesn't know what the F it's doing either, so there we go. Which apparently was correct, they didn't, but not for that reason.
I very much doubt this, and Kefi would still be harvesting Hawking particles to make whatever proto-matter weapons.
Oh, yeah.
To kill the Tranzuli with, because that conflict had been resolved.
Right, okay, so gravity kills doesn't exist, Italia. There you go. And I didn't even say it, that was What's the Hell. So you know it wasn't me. There's none of my prejudice engaged in that one. Yeah, it's not me.
You agreed in your mind.
Of course I did. I now have a good justification for saying it. But I had to have somebody else give me a justification. It's like I did watch Starfleet Academy. I watched it with an open mind. I can approach gravity kills with an open mind, but now somebody's given me good, obvious evidence from a canonical source. Boom. It's not...
I watched a TikTok made by a scientist who's saying, really, I hate that lady. She brings science into science fiction and ruins it. Because one time she brought up the concept of whether you live or die after using a transporter, which, yeah, kind of being cloned, which is kind of annoying. But now she brought in warp into the equation, and she said, well, you know, you would be blind inside the ship that is traveling through a warp bubble because it projects a kind of a singularity in front of it, which is eating all the light and signals and radiation, which technically means that you receive no messaging, no nothing, and behind you there's a white hole, and you don't see it from inside of the bubble, but also they don't see you from the outside of the warp bubble, so you're kind of invisible as well.
I want you to know, Chris, I love you dearly. I heard about 3% of that because the Hellspawn decided that was the perfect moment to bark.
Oh, I didn't hear them bark.
Oh my god, the whole room's resonating. It's like, clearly somebody was outside. With a dog, most likely. That was the...
Out there?
Yes, that was the, there's a dog out there bark, as opposed to, there's a car out there bark, or there's a headlight, or there's a leaf, or there's a squirrel. But if I shut the door, they'll just come up here and go, Mom, 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 until I open the door. I cannot be spared. Yeah, no, ho hell, do not go back and watch Section 31 just to confirm that there's a Sharonian in the background.
No, don't do it.
No, 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 no,
Don't do
no,
it
no,
yourself.
no,
They will not cover your
no.
expenses on to therapy later, so no.
Yeah, if you're here in the U.S., the insurance won't cover that. Which apparently
It
they
doesn't
don't cover
cover it
much of
actually anywhere.
anything. Yeah,
I checked. They don't cover it anywhere.
yeah, I
Just
believe
don't take
that.
any liability.
You watched Section 31. Uh-huh. Voluntarily. Uh-huh. And now you want some mental health treatment? Uh-huh.
Compensation for mental
Covered by
damages, yeah.
insurance? Uh-huh. No. It was voluntary.
Well, there was a pre-existing issue, clearly, that made you want to watch Section 31.
Yeah, but that's a different issue. This one, you turned it on. You turned it on knowingly. Now, if you had never seen Star Trek and you turned it on, maybe. But you didn't turn it off after 2 minutes, so... Actually, how does that start with the background story where they're on her home planet? Is that how that movie begins?
I don't remember. I try not to pick my brain for it because I'm afraid it might incur damage.
I was like 5 seconds into that, and I'm like, how come the windmills are made of fabric where the fabric is deteriorating and it's in rags? Okay, I get that we're on a desert planet, lots of winds, things are going to break down fast. But their costumes, all the seams were perfect. There was no wear and tear. The clothing was new. They had a roaring fire going to cook the food. No trees anywhere around. No fuel source that I could see. What the heck?
Maybe they use gas. Maybe they use gas canisters. You never know.
They're in the middle of I can't say the word. We have a term for it. They're in the middle of nowhere. So no, that would have to be, my guess would be you'd be looking at fuel being like dried cow dung. Very normal fuel when you're out in the country. And you don't have electricity, you don't have a gas source, you don't have wood. You burn cow dung. Well, if it's thoroughly dried, it burns clean with minimal smell. For those of you who want to know. But it needs to be really dry. But we're in the desert, so it would be really dry.
That was learning living in the countryside in the middle of nowhere by yours truly, Mom, the Dark Consortium. Like it.
And Hohel says, but I'm going to, Hohel, this is what you wrote. I'm going to say it exactly the way you wrote it. But desert planet? Where are you going to grow grain to mill? Okay, I know he means desert. Yeah, I have no idea what they did for... They were milling something. They had windmills. And windmills are for milling something. But I don't know what.
Maybe those weren't mills. Those were like,
And
electric, generators.
I did have a fleet mate once who named his ship the Dessert Fox. And then made all of his crew members puns on various desserts.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It was brilliant. It was really good. The man was very smart. And then he did something really stupid, so... Really, really, really stupid. But that's another story for another day.
So what I was saying when your dog interrupted, made you not hear me, is that I've seen 2 TikToks lately by the same creator, and I'm considering blocking her now because she's ruining my science fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Once she theorizes about what a wood transporter work like in reality, considering the laws of physics and quantum mechanics and all that stuff, and she said that, well, technically you probably would have to be cloned, which means that you technically died for like a brief fragment of the second. I'm like, no, don't say that. You're the same person in my brain. And the second thing is she ruined warp travel for me because apparently warp bubble, by the laws of physics, the way it moves, it projects something of a black hole in front of a. It's like the event horizon thingy.
Oh,
the bubble is wrapped in front of you, which propels you forward, I believe.
I don't know that's how that works.
Well, the way she picked one of the methods that is known from Star Trek, I believe, where warp bubble technically, in order to fold the space in front of you for the warp bubble to move, it needs to project not a singularity, but like a black hole, and it just causes to absorb all the radio signals directed at you, so you have no means of receiving or sending messages out or receiving them from outside. You're also not able to see or navigate. You just have to assume where everything is because inside of the warp bubble you're completely blind. And yeah, so you basically just have to hope that the planet hasn't been destroyed by a Death Star when you arrive and you don't fly into an asteroid field. I'm like, no, you ruined another thing. I'm gonna start. If I see a third TikTok where she ruins another piece of Star Trek trivia or some technology, I'm going to block her account.
What
Can't stand it. I hate physics.
the warp bubble
The sake of ruining my
concept?
fantasy.
She may not be understanding, or maybe she's got another one. I was just googling it, and the concept of the warp bubble is it basically distorts space-time, contracting space in front of a spacecraft and expanding it behind, allowing the ship to ride a wave of space-time faster than light without violating physics locally. So not quite the same idea as a black hole. It's just like a compression.
No, what does compressed space time like in front of a warp bubble?
I don't know how you do it, but it would be like let me think of it if I can come up with a better explanation, because I don't know this stuff. This is not mine. Do you know how if you're standing still and a car with a siren approaches you and how the sound waves begin to compress and get higher and higher and higher?
Yeah.
And as they move past you, it expands out? That's happening to you where you're at. It's not happening to that vehicle.
Yeah.
But the concept is
No,
that
of
it's
course.
able to compress them ahead of it in this, maybe in a similar motion, I don't know, and expand it behind, which creates a wave pulling you forward. No, that's not how it really works, but that's the best I can do. But the point is, within the bubble, you experience everything normally, but yeah, you would have a heck of a time transmitting information outside that bubble. So I don't know.
Receiving information
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
other side.
And I think they kind of talked about that maybe in an early Trek episode in TOS, that they couldn't send messages while traveling at warp speed. I don't know if that's something they dealt with often. Yeah, think of it as surfing on a wave.
We've
Yeah.
seen ships. We've seen ships using communication while
Right.
inside warp. So
Yeah, well, and the same thing, you couldn't create a warp bubble within gravity well. That's also been discussed, and that works right up until the moment when it's not convenient for the plot. Then it's like, Doppler effect. Thank you, White Wolf, thank you. It is the Doppler effect. It's not what it is, but it's creating a wave and then writing it, which, okay, if you go into physics, you probably can't do that, because, I mean, it's not like you can easily put a fan on a ship to push the wind into the sails and drag you along. It doesn't work that way. It does a little bit, but it doesn't really work that way. But I suppose, that's the concept they're going with. And remember, they've got another wave. We've got it on one of the Rizian ships. We've got the ability to create the subspace wake. Too short a time, I think, is the episode. Is it too short a time? No, too short a season. It's the other one. David Ogden Stiers. Half a Life. And the premise is he's trying out a alternate to using lithium and all that good stuff. Blah 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 blah. And they don't give me the name for it. Oh no, it's a different episode. Sorry, different episode.
I was always thinking they'd be creating some sort of halfway dimensional shift where they shift you into subspace, and that is your warp bubble.
Yeah, I can get along with that. I've always thought when I'm writing my own fiction that I've come up with a way for them to do it, and I say, another species created this millennia ago, and this is the remnant of their civilization. We don't have a clue how it works, but it works. And you just leave it. It's not even technobabble. It's just like, you get here, you're in the tunnel, you come out the tunnel a day later, and you're on the other side of the galaxy. And never bothered to explain it further. Yep, it works fine. They don't know what it is. They don't know it exists. They don't have a way to control it or steer through it, but they know if they get in at point A, you'll get out at point B. If you get in at point B, you'll go to point A. But let's say halfway between A and B, you fly there, and there's another spot, and you jump in there, and all of a sudden you're going to part X. So there's a lot of fun exploration. There are stories that I could write about discovering that garbage. But I don't want to do that.
Be a lot of scientists trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like I said, you could come up with a way of writing it so they can do things to whatever degree you want to just by going, hey, somebody else just covered it. We don't know how it works, but here we are. We're going to take advantage of it. It's sad that so many people forget what the phi is in sci-fi. Well, sometimes people forget what the psi is in sci-fi, too. Use an ancient technology. Next thing you know, you're turning into a Borg drone like Convergence Day. I don't remember Convergence Day. What is that? Is that a Voyager episode? Is that a book? I'll go look it up. Convergence Day. It's a single event that refers to various gatherings offering theme. No, nope, that's not it. Oh, it's a timeline. That's the one I want. No. It wants me to do add-ons and stuff like that. Not doing it. It's Googling it, but it wants me to do stuff. In Picard, the transporters turned everyone 25 years old into drones. Oh, that thing. Yeah. Is that what that was? I thought that was Plot Convenience Day. But if it's only people 25 years or older, that would leave everybody at the Academy free to go do what they want to. Give you an excuse to off the obnoxious Klingon, whatever she is, Jem'Hadar lady. Well, it's not our fault she turned into a Borg. What did you want us to do? We had to chop her head off with an axe. Sorry, not my favorite character.
Fair.
Younger than 25, I think. I thought it was older than that because not everyone younger than 25 necessarily. Wasn't it they had to go through? Yeah, they had to go through the transporter. Geordie's daughter turns, but Geordie didn't. Okay, wow, that's plot deviceium big time. If it made it everybody over 25, it would have been done. All your knowledgeable people would have, all that knowledge would be gone in the hands of the Borg. Take all the newbies out of there, not so much. So what was the name of that stupid wave? It came out after the episode when they decided you couldn't use subs, or you couldn't go using warp drive because it was damaging subspace.
Soliton wave device.
Soliton wave device. Thank you. It was a cool episode, and we've got that in one of the ships here. No, not the burn. The burn didn't exist. I'm sorry. I am sorry. No matter what I do, I can't rationalize that. Somebody did a nice theoretical paper on could that happen. And in localized space, possibly, though certainly not because somebody got upset. But the concept of local physics failing for some reason, possible. Quadrant ride, highly unlikely because the distance is so vast that as you take any energy form, the more it expands out, each time it expands out to the next level, it reduces by 1 over that factor squared. And I think if you take it in a sphere, it's 1 over that factor cubed. The power just fails. I used to live near high tension lines. For you folks in Europe, in a lot of parts of the U.S., you've got the major power lines being above ground and have been for decades. And when my husband and a neighbor and another neighbor were all diagnosed with cancer at a very close timeline, people came to us going, it's the high tension lines that's causing cancer. And a couple of research teams came out, and we were one part of a bunch of research groups that were studying, how far does the effect last? You know, how many feet, yards, miles apart do you have to be from the tension lines before any effect is negligible? Turns out it was a lot closer, or a lot farther away than any of the houses. A lot closer. We could have moved another set of houses closer to them, like 100 yards or so from the closest house. Yeah, I can talk today. But you go into space, so it wouldn't be squared, it would be cubed because we're going in a sphere. So distance x would be 1/8. Distance y would be 1/27th, and so on and so forth. The fall off would be really, really high. No, power lines can't cause cancer. No. Because the three people were coming from completely different backgrounds. My husband was exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam. We can assume that was that. The neighbor closest to them had been exposed to something when she was working at a hospital, and chemicals and radiation. And the one that was the furthest away had a family genetic marker for it. And it was only our 3 houses out of the 50-some houses on our side of the road that were relatively near the power lines. Just our 3. And we're all neighbors. I think it was just, coincidence. It's a thing. 3 cases.
People believe in coincidences.
Oh, yeah. 3 houses and, 3 families in 6 houses, but not the remaining 150 people in the remaining 47 houses. So, yeah. Yeah, people love coincidences. I mean, I could have said it was aliens, and people would have gone for that almost as much. Probably might have gone for it more. Oh, yeah, it's aliens. So would anybody like to do anything, or shall we spend our day chit-chatting, which is absolutely fine. The whole point of Sunday fan service is to give people a chance to talk that isn't 10 Forward Weekly. So we don't have to talk about ships. We can talk about SFA. We can talk about subspace waves. We can talk about Soliton. We can talk about the fact that if you can put that opt-in timer in Arena of Sompek, how come we can't have it in everything else? And somebody came back to me and said, it's because you go into that little room and you have to talk to what's-his-name first. But you could create that. You could create the alcove, the entryway, where everybody's waiting to get into the map. And you have to click a button to go into it. And when everybody's in, it launches. So, Hoel says, for a moment I was providing bricks with one of those nearby. No, you're absolutely... I don't know that you're absolutely fine, but in most states and cities, the requirement for how far away you have to be is more than allowing for a margin of error, large margin of error, very big margin of error, margin of error. When I can't talk, I begin to do the, am I losing it? Am I developing Alzheimer's? Is this just getting old? Is this a lack of coffee? Is eating apple pie for breakfast messing up my body? It was really good apple pie, though. Weirdly enough, it was better after... I made apple pie for Thanksgiving, and I thought I screwed up the crust, so I just cut it into slices and popped it in the freezer so I could have it throughout the weeks. Mm-hmm. Yep. Area of margin, yes. Yes, to Kayla. Area of margin. We will keep that as a phrase. Turns out I didn't screw up the crust. It's really good. Probably not the best thing to eat.
Hear a butt coming?
Yeah, probably. Definitely not on the diet. Too low in protein. But not that high in calories. I mean, you stick in basically an entire apple for each slice. It's got fruit in it. It's good for ya.
Well, I've actually heard that fruit aren't exactly that good in huge quantities because it has the basic sugar, which is not healthy.
Yeah, but it also fills you up, so I'm sorry, but how many apples are you going to eat in a sitting?
47.
47!
That was a very particular number. Have you tested that? What the hell?
No,
that's verified capacity?
Yes, exactly. Why not?
I've been listening to a lot of stories on my YouTube. They're just fake stories, horrible little, not even romances, but vignettes would be the best description of it. And you can tell which ones were written by people, which ones are fact-based, and which ones are AI, because anything with AI will have the number 47 in it someplace. Oh, I won $47 million. The last name, Chen and Morrison, those are the two names that always appear. And there's one other giveaway. I can't remember what the third giveaway is, but it's really interesting. Pardon?
There's some more names. I've been hearing the name Okonkwo.
Oh no, that one I haven't heard. Ooh, that may be unique to you or unique to whoever's generating yours. I'll have to keep an eye out for that one.
You're talking about stories like when someone's playing Minecraft and they're just reading out the entire story?
Oh, this is my husband came home from work one day and he was being distant to me, and I'd noticed this in the past, and I decided to follow him, and somebody pulled me over, and it was Officer Chen, and he said that I was under suspicion for this because my husband has been doing blah blah blah. Turns out he's having an affair, and he'd taken $47,000 out of our household account to give to his new girlfriend Jenna Morrison, and it's awful. It's awful, and it's a bit like heroin. It's just like, yeah, that really is awful. I need some more. It's on my list of things to stop doing, to stop listening to that garbage. There's good stuff out there. There's good books out there. I've got Audible. I've got other things I could put it on. I can listen to lawsuits going on, because those are really interesting to listen to. I know that sounds weird, but they are. They're really fascinating. But I listen to this garbage instead. Oh my God, I'm such a bad person. At least we're not getting...
Something easily digestible doesn't make you a bad person. Producing it will make you a bad person.
Yeah, but you don't have to produce it because it's automated. So one of my coworkers, when I was working... What fruit was in Holly Hunter's office? I didn't even notice that. So Talia says apples or that fruit in Holly Hunter's office for your pie. I have no idea what was in her office.
That's episode 2.
Okay. There is AI Star Trek quote fanfic out there right now that is, well, in some ways it's better than some of the episodes of some Trek series, but
That's a low bar.
yeah, that's what I was saying. But for any of you who watch Star Trek seriously, you'll get it immediately that this isn't written by a human being, because it feels so surface level. It's got no depth, it's got no characterization, it doesn't understand the science, but it understands all the Easter eggs, so you'll get references to Spock and to Kirk and to Chekhov and to Burnham, depending on what you plugged in for it. But it's really weird. Somebody pulled it up for me, and I'm like, oh, this is good. And then a moment later, it's like, yeah, it's okay. And then a paragraph later, it's like, I don't think anybody really wrote this. This feels very AI. And then he finally said, yeah, it is AI. I just wanted to see if you could figure it out and see how good it is. I'm like, it's good if you're in 5th grade. It's not really good if you're an adult. I am told, however, that a lot of students are using AI to generate papers, which, okay, I get that. Take the easy way out. And instructors are now putting in parameters like you cannot use these names, you can't use these numbers, blah, 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 blah. So if you're using AI and those things pop up, it's obviously AI. But recently I read, and this is part of the law stuff I've been following, a number of lawyers in the U.S. have used AI to generate the briefs that they're presenting to court and sometimes the motions. And if AI can't find a bit of case law that backs them up, it makes it up and throws it in there. And lawyers have been submitting that to the judge without verifying the stuff. And the judges are like, guess you didn't like that license very much, did ya? And either getting them sanctioned or motions for disbarment. Good morning, Ed.
Morning. How
Are you?
things?
It's good. Are you up early or up late?
Yes.
Undecided.
Okay. Undecided, yes. A, B, or C. A little of each. Does anybody need to do Counterpoint?
I got my counterpoint, but my endeavors are still to be need doing.
Well, we can keep chatting while we do some endeavors. I do have Counterpoint. Chris, you got anything you haven't done yet? To Kayla, Satalia, Hohel, Id?
Get gain salvage and do some tetran damage in space, which is really dreadful.
Well, go put some Tetri on it and we can do some stuff. Id, you got anything?
No, I'm not in game today.
Okay. How's work?
Frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They shaved 15 minutes off my start and my end time, and cut a day off of the schedule. I'm like,
Ow.
yeah.
Any particular reason or just trying to save money on hours?
I don't know. I will pick the brain of the manager tomorrow and ask him what's up with that, because
Yeah, you need your hours.
I need my hours. It's not sustainable to...
Yeah, I'm surprised because you're willing to work the overnight shift. I would imagine there's not too many people who want to do that. Satalia, apparently that's an episode 2, which I have not seen. I've only seen episode 1. Since we've been doing that as a group effort on Friday, and we'll do episodes 2 and 3 this Friday. Well, let me send out some party invitations here. What the hell? What do you have?
By proton damage.
Space or ground?
Base.
Oh.
I do need Tetrian damage on the ground.
Okie dokie. I know Chris is doing the nope, 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 nope. On that one.
Yeah, I figure I will be doing the Tetrian damage on the ground with the wolf on the ground that I had to defeat.
What do you have to feed on the ground?
Wait, wolf.
Oh, ugh, ugh. Yeah, repeat after me, reroll. I had that come up this morning. It's like, no, we are so not. Oh, 20. Still. It takes more time than it's worth, in my opinion.
Not the Zenkathy. Those, for those you'd have to roll a mission.
Yeah, I always have.
Wolf is battle zone.
Yeah, but sometimes, if the battle zone's kind of taken, they take a while to show up. The only place that really drops a lot of the Voth is when you go over to where the artillery are. And there's like 3 or 4 at each location. And as long as you're the only person there, you can get them all, and then you wait 3 to 4 minutes for them to come back in. So it's one of those, ugh. And if it's 60, ugh. But Zenkathy, I always have that episode queued up right to that part, which makes life easy. So, Chris, you said you had damage. What's the hell you said you had damage? Do we have anything we need to kill? Does anybody need to do the daily?
I could do it, because I need to... I mean, I need to do it, but...
Okay. What's the hell is the daily good with you? And then we can do whatever you want? If there was an answer there, I didn't hear it. Is the Kobayashi Maru...
Yeah, Kobayashi Maru is
Okay.
fine.
Weeble?
We boo.
So I've gone back and looked at some of the reviews of SFA, and I do get it, but the biggest thing that I keep coming back to with a lot of the people who are reviewing it is they really want old Trek back, which I totally get.
I don't, because, like, how many times can we get another TNG?
You
How
can't.
many times can you make another Voyager DS9?
Unfortunately, you can't.
duet?
DS9 I loved. I thought it was really good. I don't think you could replicate it. I think trying to find some new material is not a bad thing, but I get some of their points too, which is this going to appeal to the market that they're trying to get? What they want is younger people to get into it, but to go along with younger people is they want the money from younger people. I get that. That's what Star Wars was, and will always be, which is they want to sell the toys. there's nothing wrong with I want to sell the toys. That's how they make money. It's how this game makes money. They sell the stuff. Since they no longer do subscriptions, they sell the stuff. With Starfleet Academy, even though they've raised the subscription price to $13.99 for Paramount Plus, which is why as soon as SFA is done, I'm going to cancel till we get the next season of whatever. Yeah, I don't think that's out till August though, but that saves me $100.
Correctly that they shot Starfleet Academy first season like back to back.
Yeah, they did. They did it all at once.
Done and they can just release it whenever they want to.
Well, they shot it. I think they finished shooting over a year ago. So the scuttlebutt I've heard is that because they knew the Skydance thing was potentially coming up, they didn't want the show caught in limbo between the two ownerships. So get it done.
Hope he doesn't end with a cliffhanger.
Well, if they know that this is where it's potentially going to end, they probably ended it with something interesting, but not necessarily a cliffhanger, because if there's always the possibility you're going to get canceled, but it's still going to be owned by the same people, the odds are slightly in your favor. But it's going to be owned by somebody else? Maybe not. Because there's always going to be licensing. Look what happened with the JJ thing and the whole licensing that came out of that. The 30% or 33% difference, hence the uniforms had to be different, the fabrics had to be slightly different. Everything had to be slightly different.
I still don't understand why this doesn't make any sense if it's still under the same franchise, the same name. I don't understand why it has to be 33%.
Because they didn't fully own it.
Yeah. The TV rights were held by somebody completely different than the movie rights.
And they would have had to get him to, or her or them to buy in.
Some TVs and movies made under the same license.
Oh no.
That got
No.
Ooh, no.
Because I remember when they were doing, like, I don't know, they were doing the Generations. It was pretty much like on the set of the costumes of TNG. So I don't understand why suddenly.
Yeah, but
Because the split didn't happen until much later.
yeah, a lot of the movie stuff getting made has to do with, yes, we will let you use the license, but moving forward, every time you want to do something, you need to get us to buy into it. And you can do that. You can get people to agree to it, or they'll agree, hey, yeah, you can use us for X number of episodes or X number of movies, and we get a percentage.
Kind of like how the TV rights for live-action Batman are still held by, what was it, CBS? From the Adam West era. So when Gotham came out, they could not use the Batman name.
For a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had to be Bruce Wayne's story to the point where he becomes Batman, but they couldn't do the Batman.
So now we get into a really interesting part about Star Trek, which is, believe that they got a copyright, or no, they got a patent on a lot of the devices that they used. I'm not sure if it's copyright or patent, but they went the long way around to get themselves protected so that things like tricorders and other devices, the original designs, are actually protected by law. They can't be used in other things without permission. And apparently that got to be super expensive. Yeah, I think they were going with patents, and if anybody tried to use it, they could go on a patent infringement, but then they realized that was costing an absolute fortune, so they went to copywriting it, which is also legal, but it's a shorter term and easier to get. Really interesting ways to protect their toys. But what's interesting with patents is it can be held by a company. It can also be held by an individual. Oh, no, it's not. It is not income. So there, yeah. She did lie to us. Oh, I guess I really don't need any more stuff. Yeah. Did you guys get your damages?
Yep.
No, I'm only halfway through.
Okay, what are you doing? Ah, you need more spacey stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
By the way, I did Kobayashi Maru earlier. No, excuse me, I did Arena of Sompek earlier for one of my tunes. Because it was that time. They didn't get credit for it. I had to go back and redo Kobayashi Maru to get credit for it. I found that to be very interesting. And I don't know why. Has anybody else had that problem?
Not so far.
Okay.
Not that I remember.
Alright, so something just went wrong. I know she did damage even though I was chit-chatting with somebody. Oh, might have been with Chris. Yes, Chris, when you and I were chit-chatting earlier about Hagrid, the Yoda dog,
Yeah.
I was trying to do Kobayashi Maru, or Arena of Sompek, and it just wasn't doing it. Chris, since you have more damage to do, what would you like?
Doesn't matter really. You said you had Counterpoint. I think that shouldn't give me enough time.
I'm happy to. Would anybody else like to join for Counterpoint?
Well, sure.
Okay. Anybody else want to join for Counterpoint? I do want to take a team out of 5 one day and see what we can do to maximize the number of taxi rides we can do. How many teams can we get across? I want to say Dante and Frost talked about getting it in the 40s once. But basically that requires you get in with enough firepower to just take out Tarek Noor. And then all you have to do is go back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. Okay, I'm going to launch this puppy. Wee woo.
You-
And for those of you who are in Starfleet Strike Group and Klingon Strike Group, Ed's accounts that Ed played for a long time are sitting on tons of really cool stuff like R&D and upgrades. And I thought, what the heck? Ed's last gift to us is going to be upgrades. So I've been taking stuff in the fleet bank that's like Mark II stuff, re-engineering it and upgrading it. So when we have our next party, we're going to have some seriously good toys. Hopefully everybody will have at least one extremely good toy out of it. And I'm getting to the point where I can really figure how easily to craft things, but I had to re-engineer a phaser, obliviating phasers. And it had absolute garbage on it, so I went in to re-engineer it, and it's like, I don't know, 3 things you just don't want. Unlocked.
Engineering it.
Yeah, I unlocked all 3, hit the reroll, and hit damage the first time around. It's like, oh, well, this is going to be a good day. So
Did I? What?
came out as a damage times 4 accuracy damage for the last modifier. What is that? Is that the temporal thing there? I hate that temporal bubble.
Fly into that. It's the Mobius Temporal Destroyer. They are deploying that.
I hate that thing. That is so annoying. It's cool looking from the outside. I will give it that.
It is a console, I think, which you can have in all the mirrors.
Oh my-
But
Oh, hold on a second. There's somebody here flying a ship called the CJ Chera. She is a fantastic writer. And she goes under the name CJ Chera because she's female and she didn't think anyone would buy in that it's, I don't know what her first name is. Cindy Lou Cherry was her real name or something like that, so she modified it to get some book contracts. And clearly, well, good writer. Yes, Mom. Hit the portal button first, kill the ship second.
Or the puppers.
They are evil. They ate things off the ground yesterday, and I was not amused with them. I have no idea what they ate, but it went crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. And I'm thinking, oh, somebody's garbage, ex-animal, I don't know what.
yeah, Hagrid tried to munch a bone yesterday. It was
Yeah.
lying on the sidewalk because some people just have to go to a bigger distance to a trash bin.
Well, I couldn't figure out why there would be like food remnants out in a parking lot nobody's been at for 2 months because the soccer season is over here. And that part of the area doesn't get used often, and most people walk their dogs there. So no reason to take a lunch out there. So you know where I'm talking about, it in that parking lot.
Yep.
Yeah. Then it occurred to me, well, you know, the birds sometimes kill animals and just eat them where they lay. So maybe it wasn't a chicken wing that they were eating, it was a leftover bird or mouse or something, and I'm thinking, that's even worse. But we had a discussion about that. Hey, I did close the port. Oh, okay, I did close the portal. What have we got here? 14 closed, not bad. I'm passing on all the stuff, Chris, since you said you needed salvage.
I'm gathering everything I can.
Well, I'll pass on everything, and you can have what you'd like out of that.
I don't need a lot, it's just like, I just... First, oh, not this thing again!
The Mobius thing?
Yeah.
Ew.
Glad that they're done.
Alright.
When are we gonna get the Athena class or whatever? I think it was called Academy class.
I don't know, I just remember it's called the Athena. That is a really good question. I'm sure they're going to pull it into game. Absolutely sure of that. But now we get back to contracts and licenses. That license is not going to be held by necessarily the same people who have the licenses for Discovery.
As far as I've seen, most of the production is still carried over directly from Discovery. Not again! I'm waving my fist through my window, you
So,
stupid Mobius thing.
if it's done by the same production company and not under a different different name or entity, then it might be easier. However, that gets more challenging than you would think, because generally every time you do a new show, you create a new entity for legal reasons and tax reasons. Sometimes it's easier than keeping it under the same name. Though you can do that, though. Yeah. As they say, just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing.
Some shows are famous for switching a production into a new entity so that
They can
royalties don't get carried over.
Yep. And so sometimes they can show a loss. What was it? The Rockford Files did that. The show was incredibly successful, but for all the investors, they could show that they lost money because basically they would do some sneaky stuff. Don't die, ship, don't die. Out we go. There we go. We're out. Let's heal for a moment. Stupid Mobius thing. I worked for a company briefly that had questionable accounting policies, and the reason they brought me in is to fix their books. And they would run hundreds of events each year, and they threw all the money in one big pile. So there was no way to determine if any one event made or lost money. And they didn't do it because they wanted to, steal stuff from anyone. They were just too flipping ignorant to know it. And there's no way to go back and fix things. I'm like, okay, every time we do this, we have to at least create a separate spreadsheet and different entities within the systems. And then people just collect money for events and throw it in the bucket, so to speak. My nerdy little accounting me was like, how many good murder mysteries are based on... They're shooting a movie and it shows that it's losing money, but somebody's discovered there's an accounting issue and that person gets killed. And the answer is lots of them. Oh! I died.
Well, you didn't get killed, apparently.
Yes, I did. I'm real dead. What did I get killed by? Just cumulative junk. I don't have great heals on this. Taz, I love you, but the ship does not heal well. I think Taz is so confident in his extreme firepower that he doesn't worry about things shooting him, because they're all going to die before they get the chance.
Yeah, Taz is living in a different universe right now.
Yeah, but he doesn't die very often. I'm going to die again. I died again. Wow. Terran Science Vessel deals 36k Tetrion damage.
That's fair.
36k isn't very much. This hull should be able to take more than that. Yeah, not that much. Huh, interesting. Interesting, yeah. Wolfbuck, it's true in order to have peace in the galaxy, you must have superior firepower. Yes, yes. Very Iron Man concept there. Superior peace through superior sticks. I was reading an interview with, who's the director of the first Iron Man movie?
Jon Favreau?
Yes. He wanted Robert Downey Jr., or he was interested in having Robert Downey Jr. play the role. And the powers that be, who didn't have a lot of money, and were like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything for us. And he came in and nailed basically that scene where he's talking about peace through superior firepower. And then they're all doing yeah, I guess that could work. But this was back when Marvel was just people and wasn't a lot of power-hungry idiots. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. Money-hungry idiots. That's what I meant to say. Well, and then Paramount sold it to Disney. No, Marvel sold it to Disney. Same concept, yeah, but different bunch of people. Oh, hell says, speak softly and carry a big stick. Yep, that's it. Who is shooting at me? I'm way over here. Leave me alone while I get fixed. Okay. So getting back to Satalia's earlier point, Starfleet Academy, it's not great, but it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Our reinforcements will put you in your place.
Well, that was easy.
You haven't seen the last of me.
I wish we have seen the last of her.
Well, we've seen Lazar for 13 weeks if we don't want to see her again.
Yeah, that's true.
But that said, we got a week coming up here. Tomorrow is 5,000 fleet credits. I think that's what tomorrow is. Let me take a look here. Oh, it's way back there. Okay. Ooh. Nope. Nope. That's the wrong page. We do not want that page. Want that page. Yes. Earn 5,000 fleet credits. That's tomorrow. Wednesday is Satalia's Day. And Friday is Days of Doom. For the weekend, next weekend. So, for Days of Doom, I will be around over the weekend, but I think let's try tackling that logically. Let's put together a team and see if we can't figure out a strategy. I've got a way to handle it. Lexers has a way to handle it. I think if we get a team together, we could be good. Friday night we will do, in fact, maybe before we do Starfleet Academy Friday, we will do Days of Doom. As for Gravity Kills, well, Satalia will be there and she will accompany all of us each time we have to run it. And the week after isn't much better. Speaking of this upcoming week, we will have a show tomorrow morning at our usual 6 a.m. In fact, all week at 6 a.m. Evenings, I am gone Monday and Wednesday. I've got to catch up on some missed classes. But I should be here Tuesday, Thursday. Friday we'll do a little bit of gaming, and then we will go watch Starfleet Academy. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to dismiss this ad break that's coming up. There we go. And I will be back tomorrow at 6. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the game. Enjoy doing what you're doing. And we will see you for Sunday Fun Day next week, or Sunday Fan Service, or whatever this is called. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for everything else. And if you need to run stuff, drop me a message, because I'm going to be doing some upgrades and throwing some new stuff into the Fleet Bank. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Toodles.
Toodles. Bye.
Have fun.
Yeah.